Hey, Bruce Sweeney, the founder of Simply for Life, and today on Body Check, one of my favorite topic of all time. Boy, did I ever get attention on this one 25 years ago when I started practicing, actually over 25 years ago, and 21 years ago with Simply for Life. So today, the role is to make sure you identify certain feeling and how you feel on Body Check and to really notice that this could be low sodium. Now, most of you following me are already in the trend of eating a healthy lifestyle, doing Simply for Life, and most of all, you're probably in a process that you want to better your quality of life. So if you listen to me carefully, I will debunk some myth on salt. And most of all, I'm going to give you a sense of clarity. There's a huge difference between salt and sodium. So, first thing first, we all know that sodium is an important electrolyte to regulate water level and many substances in our body. And most of us are fully aware that it helps controls our blood pressure, blood volumes, and your body just needs sodiums for your muscle and nerves to work properly. But here's where it gets really interesting. If you're doing a high protein diet, a ketogenic diet, most likely if you're constipated, it's because you're not consuming enough salt. You need sodium to break down protein. It's better for digestion. It helps your digestion. And I cannot say this enough. Many times I've resolved some of my clients' digestions and constipation just by simply adding sodium in their diet because they had a fear of sodium. And remember, this applies to people eating healthy. If you're eating in restaurants, I would definitely not suggest to put more salt on your food. Now, if you want to really take a good look at yourself, just do this little test. If you're eating healthy, you're sleeping good, you're exercising, you have a little bit of stress, but nothing out of the ordinary. You've lost your energy, drowsiness and fatigue for no reason at all, restlessness and irritability, and also I've seen anxiety, nauseated, guaranteed almost 75% of the time is because you have low sodium. But still not convinced? Well, let me tell you a couple things on why you should be careful on the type of salt if you want to get sodium, right? This is where it gets interesting because I want you to understand two big differences. Now, salt contains sodium, okay? We know this. And I will tell you also why I favor pink salt and Himalayan salt. But just think about this in analogy. This is would be today we're talking about vitamin C. And because kiwi are higher in vitamin C, we see kiwi as vitamin C, but it contains vitamin C. Salt contains high level of sodium. It's not 100% sodium. The problem is when we consume table salt. It's been manufactured, it's been engineered. The salt, by the time it's done, it's purple. So they have to bleach it and it tastes horrible. So we have to put dextrose into it. And on top of that, a teaspoon of table salt contains almost 2,400 milligrams of sodium. Very high. You ask me why I prefer Himalayan salt? Well, the number one reason, it's not because it's a superfood, because it's not. It's because it comes from the mountains of Himalayan and it has no contaminants. Afghanistan also has it, no contaminants, no environmental contaminants. I used to be a big fan of sea salt, kosher salt, but now we know that it have toxins into it unless you really know where it's coming from. So Himalayan salt. Now let's take a look at a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. A Himalayan salt, 1 teaspoon contains 1,580 milligrams of sodium. And I'm going to slow down because this is important. If you're doing Simply for Life, you're eating whole food, lots of fruits and vegetables, probably you're getting 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium a day. Now, you should be consuming about 1,500 to 2,500 milligrams of sodium a day, depending on the level of activities. Therefore, when you take a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, you have about 1,600 milligrams of sodium, plus the sodium again in your food. You're hovering around 1,900 to 2,000 milligrams per day, maybe a little bit more, maybe a bit less, but it sure is a good average. Now, a lot of them will say, well, Bruce, how do I know? Well, I did a simple trick about 25 years ago just to draw attention and educate the public on this. And to this day, this trick is still very vibrant. Instead of winging it, measuring it, and putting it, or just tapping with a salt shaker, put a teaspoon of Himalayan salt in a salt shaker and learn to use this throughout the day. Use it all. Now, ladies, you're not going to like me the first 2 days because if you're sodium sensitive and you're starting to put Himalayan salt in your food, you're going to hold water the first 2 or 3 days, but then your body will upregulate and will be fine with that. You won't hold any water. But if you want to increase your energy, you want to feel better, you want to improve your digestion, and you really want to help your body functioning the way it should be, you need to have sodium into your diet. You need to have less fear of it. And if you're going to have sodium from salt, make sure you consume Himalayan salt because it's a better choice. Remember, I didn't say it's a superfood, it's a better source of salt. Sodium, it's all the same, universal, but when it comes to salt, not all salt are created equal. So now you know the difference. And the biggest thing is what? 1.5 grams to 4 grams. I have many athletes, and including myself, because I work hard physically, I exercise, I consume 2 to 4 teaspoons of salt on a daily basis. My blood pressure is always low. I feel good. I get energy. Now, would I suggest that to someone who's not exercising, sweating, so forth, so on? Absolutely not. But a good base is to start with a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. So that way you're going to get the right adequate amount of sodium and all its other constituents and trace mineral. Most of all, you're going to feel a whole lot better. So there you go, folks. You know it. On Body Break, check yourself today. You've been doing everything right. Feel a little bit constipated if you're doing high protein or keto. Almost, you've been just eating right, exercising, sleeping well, and you have fatigue. You got a little bit of anxiety, restlessness, just not feeling good at all, nauseated. Clearly, 75% of the time, it's a sign that you have low sodium. So stop fearing sodium. Start looking at salt differently. Not all salt are created equal. And enjoy your life because it's about living better, longer. Take care, and thanks for following